and therefore this is an opportunity for me to share with you my views as to what manufacturing leaders expect from IT, not from IT people in particular, but from IT in general, and also to some extent from IT people. With background on our company and our industry are asked to give that. CNS Electric products are used in a wide variety of applications in power generation, distribution, and final consumption. We compete with multinationals like ABB, Siemens, Schneider Electric, Legrand, and Alstom, and also with Indian companies like L&T and Havells. We have 15 manufacturing locations in India, one in China and one in Belgium, and our products are sold through 23 sales offices in more than 70 countries around the world. We have 500 channel partners, and with the launch of domestic products like NCBs, our products today are also reaching to the retail channel, to homes and other corners of the country. They have about 3,500 people, and we do about 1,200 crore rupees in turnover. This is an overview of our
स्टेज पर है
environment.
ज़्यादा आगे ना है
अच्छा वो नहीं स्पीकर है
We have a
ज़्यादा आने से तो लाइट हो
ERP system deployed.
स्टार्ट हो गया है
We have access
प्रोजेक्टर भी खड़े हैं साथ
to lease line or RF link at the plants, and then we have remote access via either Citrix or VPN, virtual private network, to our system. And this is basically the backbone of our operations in terms of
डायरेक्ट लगा दो फिर क्यों लगा
उसको कहीं चाहिए तो ले लेगा उसका केवल खींच के
I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the trends that are being faced today in the manufacturing business, not only in our industry, but in general, I would say in the manufacturing or the light manufacturing sector. So the global economic slowdown has caused a downward price pressure in the market. Most manufacturing companies today find a downward price pressure for their products. And this is coupled with input cost escalation. Even while the price of your products is going down, the price of your inputs is going up on account of increase in commodity prices like steel, copper, silver, gold. And the tightness of money in the market is also leading to a capex squeeze. So whether it's your customers or your own self, there is a squeeze on capex. There's a growing product range. You know, when the market is not growing to that extent, you're always tempted to add more products and to grow your product range so that you're able to increase your sales by that fashion. And specifically mentioning that also in terms of item codes, because from any IT system point of view, that increases the complexity in terms of more product ranges, more distribution channels, growing network of domestic, international customers as well as suppliers.
वो टीनी वाली
All
अगर मिल
that
जाती तो
puts
मेरे को
pressure on
कॉर्डलेस
the
केबल दो
ecosystem.
हाँ दे दो
And not only are we talking about the existing suppliers and customers, we're also talking about prospective
हाँ वो मेरे
suppliers
कॉर्डलेस का
and
पानी पी के
prospective customers. Because the IT solutions also help you to manage that better, how to manage your prospective customers better, talking here about CRM, or how to manage prospective suppliers better. We have all kinds of opportunities to use IT for that purpose as well, whether it's e-bidding, reverse auctions, all those kinds of IT solutions. And there's also another trend that is of product commoditization. At the end of the day, products are getting more commoditized. You see even a product like the iPhone, which at one point in time was considered a completely unique thing, today more and more seems commoditized, more people are into it. So what happens is, when your products are more and more commoditized, it's your processes that are going to differentiate you. So from product-based differentiation becoming harder, the focus is also on the process differentiation. When it comes to process differentiation, information technology is very much at the heart of that. Coming straight to the point, what do manufacturing leaders expect from IT? It's really quite simple. The job of any business leader is to maximize the return on capital employed, to maximize the profitability of the business, and the expectation from the information technology is no different. It is to optimize, maximize, and to support the organization and maximize the return on capital employed. And really speaking, IT is today involved in every aspect of business. Every process of business is embedded within information technology. So any process improvements, process changes, always involve the use of information technology and to manage information technology in order to improve the processes. These processes could be the front-end processes or the back-end processes. Could be how your customers see you before they order your products, how they perceive you during the time that you're ordering, during the sales process, and then even after that, after sales, when we talk about the back-end processes, become critical to be a lowest cost producer. That means you must be the lowest cost producer of a particular product in the marketplace. You must be knowing what are your competitors' costs, how do you compare with them, and are you a low cost producer? So all these processes, in order to be able to perform better in all these aspects, your constant process improvements are required, and IT has to play a very crucial role in that. In some of the areas, I've tried to just list down some ideas about which are the areas where these process implementations are required. It starts really, first of all, with the correct conception and implementation of a system. By correct conception, I mean, there are a myriad of ways in which you can configure a system. The thinking right in the very beginning has to be right. I can give you one example. So we were implementing our Oracle ERP system in our company. In the very beginning, we had a lot of pressure from our consultants who were helping us with the implementation to use a lot of shop floor level features in the Oracle system. That means actually go into machine scheduling, to schedule jobs, to schedule everything basically within the system. Somehow that didn't, gel right with us, and then we had an expert who came in for Oracle as well, and he advised us, really don't go in for that. That's too complex. Those facilities are there, but don't go in for that. Let that be visual shop floor control. Let the transactions be controlled at a higher level, but day to day, the actual production scheduling on a day-to-day basis should be left to a manual sort of a system. So that's what I mean by correct conception and implementation in the first stage when you're implementing the process. The second thing, here we're talking about the transactional perfection. The reason I've mentioned here not mere transactional perfection, because today wherever you read about IT systems, people, if you Google it about what's expected from IT systems, everybody has one thing to say, and that is it should not be transactional only, it must be strategic. That's true, but you can't really be strategic if your transactional performance of the system is not correct. And believe me, a lot of people struggle for many years to get that right. By transactional perfection, I mean that your book should balance. Simple things like when you have a manufacturing environment, when you have an ERP system, your consumption is booked by the system based on your bill of materials. And at the end of the year or the month or the quarter, the consumption that has been booked by the system must tally with the actual physical consumption, because the system is booking it only based on what the bill of material tells you. A lot of people still don't get that right. They still have big differences between that. So these are the transactional elements, the so-called non-strategic elements that I would like to stress upon, because everybody stresses upon strategic. Everybody wants IT to be this silver bullet that does some strategic things for the business. Okay, I'm not opposed to that. We can come to that. But it's very important that you get the transactional perfection correct, and that should not be left to a sort of considered a mere transactional perfection. Process optimization, constant improvement. Once you have your IT systems in place, your processes do drift. They need to change. Things change around you. You get better ideas. So the processes do constantly go through various iterations, and the IT team as well as the other teams have to be involved in constantly optimizing those. Application structure, customization versus use of standard apps. This is usually, a very important, it becomes a point of tussle because there's always a tendency to get more and more customized applications, which complicates matters. At the same time, the standard applications may not do the job. So here is where a lot of skill and expertise is required to find the right balance and to get the job done with the least customizations possible, and yet, not stick to the slogan of standard when it's not meeting the need of the process. So there will always be additional modules beyond the core package, and those also have to be handled well. So this seminar today is on cloud computing, so a lot of those core packages today can be on the cloud. We'll talk about that in a minute. And the IT CapEx and OpEx control also is in the hands of the IT team, and how to best optimize the CapEx as well as the OpEx of IT is a critical challenge today that's being faced by IT managers. And again, I come back to the holy grail, because to be frank, I did Google a few things as I was putting together my thoughts for this, and everywhere, everybody is pressurizing IT people to come and change the business, to become this business guru, to find that something that is going to be dramatic and change the business. I find that a bit unrealistic, desirable, of course, and I think a time will come when that happens. And obviously it varies from industry to industry as well. There are other industries where that absolutely is the game changer. But within manufacturing, for IT to be a big game changer, I think there are opportunities, there are possibilities for this, but there's still a little bit of a way to go before the kind of expectations we may have from that are realistically possible to meet. A little bit here about the cloud opportunity. No doubt the cloud presents a fantastic opportunity to reduce the infrastructure as well as the implementation costs. And it's amazing that just 2 or 3 years ago, people weren't talking about this to that extent. So the pace of change is really, really very fast in IT, right? In fact, if I look at my own self, I was very involved in this about 2 to 3 years ago. And the last 2 to 3 years ago, other people have been handling it. I've been a little bit away from it. When I started refreshing my views about what are the key points, what is the agenda, I found that in 2 years, a lot of things have changed. A lot of perspectives have changed. A lot of priorities have changed. And the cloud opportunity is something that everybody is talking about and is real. So I can tell you what we are doing on the ground in terms of cloud, and it's pretty simple, but I think it's a way of getting there. So the simplest, you start with the simple things like mail or your firewall. We tried a CRM implementation, which was not successful, but going forward, we're looking at using a CRM on the cloud. We have a company intranet, which is again on the cloud, and it's mainly a social tool. We're working on backup in the cloud, disaster recovery on the cloud, and also the HRMS. So these are some of the processes which I would still say are outside the core system in some ways. And as far as the core system is concerned, I had a chat with our IT team prior to this seminar, and I took a little bit of an update from them about this, and they said that at this stage, we're not really comfortable looking at doing something, migrating as such, to a cloud situation. I guess someday the time will come where the migrations will take place. There was also, different steps at which you can do that. You can look at possibly migrating only the database first, and then keep the applications with yourself, and possibly the applications go later, because that's where the complexity of management can be more, and there could be other hybrid solutions. So we're going to watch the trends and see how things go
uh, before we take any very firm decisions. These are some suggestions that I have to IT professionals. I would say strengthen your domain expertise. No doubt that is your domain, and I always expect from anybody, first of all, first and foremost, they must be good in their domain. Everything else is good to know about other things, but you've got to be very, very good in what you do. If you're an IT person, that is your first thing, and despite all the talk about being a business leader and being somebody who's going to coach the CEO and all that, is fine, but you must be very, very good in what you do, and that is a big challenge to keep up and your own skill set in that domain expertise. But at the same time, you also have to grow your knowledge of the business, the situation around you, the challenges that your business faces, the customers, all those aspects also. The more you know them, the more you'll be able to talk to the business people, and the better interaction between the business and IT is possible. Be patient, it takes time. I say this because sometimes the expectations from IT people to understand business or business people to understand IT can be quite demanding. So step by step, you have to be patient. It takes some time. Just keep moving in that direction. Establish credibility through small wins. This is again from my own experience. I'm talking because sometimes IT people will have big ideas. They want to do big things because that's their domain. The business people may not understand that. From their perspective, they may not want to risk that at that point of time. So at that point of time, sometimes you have to slow down. You have to establish your credibility through some small projects, small wins, get the buy-in of the business, and then move ahead. And also, I've mentioned here logic is not everything because, people with a background in IT, and of course, I'm also an engineer trained in computer science and things like that. Your background is always in logic. You always think through logic, processes, diagrams, flowcharts. But you have to understand that logic is not everything in the real world. There's politics. And when I say politics, I don't necessarily mean that in a negative connotation. What I mean by politics is simply the fact that there are vested interests, there are preferences, there are fears, and things like that, and you have to be cognizant of those things as well. And it's also very important for business people to be more IT savvy, right? We keep talking about IT people being more business savvy, but business people cannot be dodos when it comes to IT today. They have to be more knowledgeable. They have to make more effort to know more about what the information systems can do for them, should do for them, and thereby they can interact better with their own teams, with the consultants, and that ends up making better decisions, better implementations, and finally better performance for the company. So business people definitely need to be more IT savvy. Cross-functional teamwork is a cliched phrase we hear about in every day, cross-functional teamwork, but it is there to stay. You need that. There was a time when the IT guys were just the guys who basically kept the machines going. The machines did some standalone, simple jobs, and the business guys did, all the cooler things. Everything is just much more integrated now, and this kind of cross-functional teamwork might be a cliche, but it is also a reality. I'll end with a quote by Mark Hurd from Oracle, and it's actually quite interesting if you see the kind of things he expects that leaders will expect from CIOs, from Chief Information Officers. In addition to being a business leader and a technology visionary, as well as a diplomat, a psychologist, and an end-to-end process expert, the CIO also has to be able to master the currently intense challenge of reshaping how IT budgets are constructed, allocated, and spent. So that's a tall order, right? You're talking about a business leader, technology visionary, a diplomat, a psychologist. That's the first time I heard that one, but I can relate to that. A process expert, and also somebody who can manage budgets. So that's a tall order, and I think he was also quick to note that it's really hard to find such guys. It's very hard to find people who have that kind of a balance. But it's also true that those people who do have that balance of a strong background in IT, a good understanding of business. In coming years, these are the guys who will be big value creators for the business. Businesses will need such people, and these people will have the potential to add tremendous value to businesses, and they will be sought after, they will be much in demand, and that's the kind of person, however extreme this demand from Mark Hurd may sound, that's the kind of person I think most IT people need to aspire towards. And finally, since there's a lot of IT people here, I would also say work for a good company, and work for CNS is a great place to work as well. Thanks and good luck.